This morning's the Torah is regarding the Emunat Chachamim, the Emunat Hashem, and how do we serve Hakadosh Baruch Hu. So the topic mostly is talking about the upcoming solar eclipse, and what does that mean? The Daniel Hanavi, in Daniel says when sometimes Hakadosh Baruch Hu gives messages to people, and he does it to the holy people, and sometimes to Nevi'im. But with Manenu we don't have no Nevi'im. So what we have Gemara. So from Gemara and the Zohar and all the Sifrei Kodesh, everything is written over there, and we are able to understand what's going on around our surrounding with Manenu. And there's a concept that when the Gemara Sukkah talks about, first of all, we want to talk, this is connected to what we've been talking about women are the foundation of the Jewish religion, and the Sinur is so important. And we have a pasuk, which the beginning part, it says, Mechabedai achabed. Whoever that respect me, Hakadosh Baruch Hu says, I will respect, and Shalom, the other way around. So that's why in the Vatican it's still very important for everybody in the shul to be respectful in the shul, because Shekhinah is there, and we have to be very careful with that. And here in this Gemara is the Mishnah that talks about in the time of Sukkah. It's a joyful occasion, and we all have to be extremely happy. And it brings out this is a Gemara Sukkah Daf Chaftet Amud Aleph. Onto that, it explains end of the Mishnah that says that if Hakadosh Baruch Hu is not happy with the Klal Yisrael, it brings what? It brings rain during the Sukkah time when we're supposed to celebrate. And it gives an example of what? Of an Eved that is trying to serve his master, and he brings the food, the wine in front of his master, and he takes the cup and throws it at his face. So the question is, what does that mean? So the Gemara explains here. So it says in the middle of I'm going to read some part of this Gemara, because this Gemara, I think, is very important to know a person, the relationship between us and Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Because what we see right now, so this is Gabi Manenu, as far as what happened on October 7. Why in Simchat Torah such a thing happened? Sometimes when Hashem is upset, he shows it himself. Even though we know that Hamas, they're Amalek, they're against their Mamad Zera Amalek, and what they did was extremely brutal. But the bottom line, which as they say, Shura Tachtana, is Hashem used these people to give us a message that he's not happy with us. Same concept as what, that we in the Sukkot time, if the Rav, the master, comes and throws a wine cup, the serve the person with a wine cup, and he threw it at his face. Now he says, what does this mean that he threw it? And he gives an example. The Gemara says, B'Tanya, Shefach lo drabo giton ad pana b'amado yefshim b'shmushech. That his Rav, he throws the wine cup at his servant, right? And he says, I don't want you to serve me. Okay, that's the Mashal when there's the Chas B'Shalom, there's rain in the Sukkah time. When the time to sit, Hashem commanded us to sit in the Sukkah, and that's what he says. So now we're going to talk about the topic that right now is coming about is eclipse, solar eclipse. What does that mean? Is Hashem happy with it? Is this a great phenomenon that we have to just be joyful, or we have something not good? And here Gemara says that it is not a good event. The solar eclipse is not a good event, right? And usually, and it's going to explain why. I tell you why sometimes we don't have to worry about it. And what does a solar eclipse mean, and what does a lunar eclipse mean? So here it says, تو را بتمشي هخما لوكي سيمان لا لخلولام. So he says when there is a solar eclipse is the bad sign for the whole world, right? Which is coming up on April 8. Kulo Olam Kulo. Is that is the whole world is the bad sign for the whole world. Mashal the Maya Dove, right? So you see what is the analogy here? למלך עושה באדם שעושה סעודתו לעבודיו, והנה פנס לפניהם, right? So he says is like a mashal that king to the party for all his people, right? And he gets angry and he puts what? He puts penas lantern. He puts like a lighting, so they will be able to see when they're eating, right? Class at him, he got angry at them. Amal Abdul, he told his servant, told Panas him, Behoshibam the Bachoshech. Take the lanterns away from him, to the light, right? From them, and let them sit in darkness. So that means what? He's angry at them, right? So he says the same thing as bring a lunar, solar eclipse is the same concept. So that's how bad it is. Tanya Rabbi Meir Omer Kol Zeman Shem Moro Lukim. So now Rabbi Meir brings out another Mamar Rabbi Meir Barnes. He says that if there's I think it's called lunar eclipse, that like when there's we don't have it right now, but we had it a few years ago. That if the moon gets there's an eclipse on the moon, right? Simon is not good for Klal Yisrael, okay? Right? Why? Because because the Jewish people are accustomed, because the Jews are considered the analogy is that they are compared, the Jewish nation are compared to the moon. So if Chas Shalom, there is a lunar eclipse. It's like a case of the case they're accustomed to be beaten up by the different people, right? Throughout history, and they know this is coming to them. Mashal lesofer, this is gives an analogy of like a teacher. Sheba lebesefer, they come to school, and he has a stripe, right? He has some kind of belt, right? That used to lash people, right? So he has it in his hand, right? Midoeg, who wore it when he sees that in his hand? Whoever it used to be lashed by. So the Canary says when the reason there's a lunar eclipse, right? When it comes, that shows that Hakadosh Baruch Hu is a part to bring some kind of Chas Shalom Yisurim on Jewish people, but not the solar. Solar is the Goyim are compared to what? To the sun, and the Jews are compared to the moon, right? Tara Banan, Bisman Hachamad Oke Misimalan Lovde Kochavim. Lebanon Oke Simona Rad Senehem said. So he says, Rabbanam, they confirm this concept, they say, of the Rimei Barnes, and they say, Bisman the Chamal Oke, when there is a solar eclipse that is about to come on the April 8th of this year, right? Is Simon Rad of the Kohen is bad for going. Levana, if there's like a lunar eclipse, if I think that's a word. Simon Rad is on him Israel, right? It's a bad thing for the Chadashon for Klal Yisrael. Mifnei sheIsrael monin lelbanan. So the Klal Yisrael like on the moon, and they're going on like a sun. So now it's Gemara goes elaborates. It says how does it if it happens in Mizrach Ma'arav, in the geographic location and the timing. Actually, it's talking about the timing and also geographic location. What happened? It says if there's a solar eclipse in Mizrach, Simon Ra Mizrach. If it happens in the Mizrach here is talking about when there is a sunrise. Sunrise it was for the people that they are Yushem Mizrach. B'Ma'arav Simon Ra B'Yushem Ma'arav. if it happens in the Ma'arav, in the which is sunset, right? Is also actually it said Mizrach geographic and also talking about also the time. It's the one of the Ma'arav. Be'emsa, and if it happens like in the middle of the at the like a noon time, high noon, right? بصورت حقیقیت سیمان لخول هاولام کلو. It's bad for the whole world. No, so from here we see that this is very, it doesn't have to be, it's very bad. Now one thing we have to know, there's another concept that we should know, even if the going get hurt, right? They say the Jewish people, because it wants to awaken the Jewish people. Whenever there's some kind of disaster or something throughout the world, if we've done our job correctly, if we've done everything correctly, the goyim shouldn't have this kind of disasters. They shouldn't have. So that's the so Hakadosh Baruch Hu brings this to them to what? To awaken the Jewish people. They said, look, we should have what? We should have done better. We should have done Kiddush Hashem. The goyim should have learned from you. Should have been a good role models that they learn from you, and they wouldn't come to the position that usually when something like this happens, and Hashem punish goyim they've come to the extreme. Extreme that Hashem wants to punish them. So how come they got to that point? Because we Jews, we didn't do our job very well. If we would have done mitzvot and we done a lot of Torah learning, we would make sure our wife, as we mentioned a few times in the past, that a woman is a aked habayit, she would be sanoa, she would be very weak, because weak is extremely dangerous for the Kalistan, and also it affects globally, not only to the Jews but also to the goyim, right? If they would keep the Talmud completely, then the goyim would not get this. So because they would get affected by us, they would get basically, like we know from time of Shlomo HaMelech, there was a very, very great peace throughout the world. Why? Because most of the Jews were trying to obey HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There was a Beit HaMikdash was built by him. That was a good sign that Hashem is happy with us. They were Kruvim, Beit HaMikdash, they were face to face. That meant that Hashem is happy with the Jewish people. And that happiness that had what we call the Nachat Ruach HaKadosh Baruch Hu from the Jewish people, well, it reflected it throughout the world. The whole world was in harmony. Like we say in time of Shlomo HaMelech, there was peace throughout the world. There was no war, there was nothing. Everything was in a very good situation. But now Bismanenu, right? Bismanenu, we see all these wars every place. You see hurricane, you see flood, you see all these things, because Hashem is not happy with the goyim, right? And the reason he's not happy is because of all Jewish people. We are not performing our duties the way we're supposed to. That's what it is. And he says, we're going to go further, and it's going to tell you what really caused of this solar eclipse undergoing. What is this that Hashem gets so angry at them that he wants to cause all these things, right? So he says, he says, Panav domim ledam. If you look at the solar eclipse and you see it looks like a blood, right? It's like a red, right? It's going to be bloodshed. The sack, if it looks like a sack, the Gorosh says, is dark like a sackcloth that is made of the goat hair. That the hair of the goat usually is black. So it says dark, right? The arrows of the hunger comes to the world. If he has both of them, he has also, it looks like a darkness, and also it looks like a red, right? Both of them come. It comes Barminon, it comes the famine, right? And also it comes bloodshed. Cherev means bloodshed here, right? So now he said, if it comes in the beginning, if it comes in the beginning, so when I said about them Mizrach Ma'arav, I meant geographically. So here, I understand correctly. So I thought it was talking geographically. Here, it talks about Mizrach Marav. Now it talks about the time wise. Okay, because the top on those shore when it goes when you enter in the beginning when it's sunrise, right? It's not going to happen immediately. Like if the eclipse happened in the early part of the morning, right? It's not gonna this put on you this punishment, this particular action is planning for the going. It's not gonna happen right away. Nabo Beisato, when it comes on the sunset, right? Around sunset it happens, it's gonna happen right away. ממהר לבוא ויש אומרים חילוף the body. And some say it's the other way around, which means if it comes in the morning, right, it means it's gonna come right away, and it comes in the end, it's gonna take away. Right? ואין לך כל אומה ואומה שדוקה שאין אלוהיך דוקה עמה. So it says all the nations that are involved in this solar eclipse in the geographically, not only they get afflicted, but also the angels, the idols, because every nation has an angel, they have a sun, and all those people are going to be also afflicted by that. Shemar, before Elohim is saying, Esel Shoftim. So he said, and all the angels of the Messiah, I'm going to do judgment with Bansh Israel, Osim, so this is it. That's basically the bottom line. So that's basically it's saying that when he hits them, right? Not only he hits them also the angels and the idols. That's what's going to happen if the solar eclipse. Right now, we're listening read an article that NASA says that this eclipse that is coming is not a good thing. It's they give a warning about this eclipse that coming, about to come, right? Shema. Now he said, with מה שישראל עושים ברצון של מבום, אין מתייעלים מכל אלו. So he says, when the Jewish nation, they are doing the stuff about Baruch Hu, none of this is going to affect the Jewish people. So which means, if they don't, right, they get also affected. This is what the Gemara says. The Gemara is trying to tell you, if this the solar eclipse come, right, don't be afraid of them. Even if it affects the Goyim, it's not going to affect you. If you what? If a Jewish people they do what? Which means that Hakadosh Baruch Hu wants us to do teshuvah. So when this eclipse comes and affects the Goyim, right? That also causes many of them they get awakened and realize the God. They will not rely on the idols or the whatever the Christians will not believe that there's only one God. There's not Trinity. And all those people in the Far East Asia that they worship idols, they realize the idols have no meaning. They cannot do no help for them, cannot help them at all, and they will come to the conclusion that there's a force above the nature that is doing this, and they realize there's a God, and they will come back and become God worshipper. So he says, so that's on, and he says, don't, if the Jewish people are Yirei Shamayim, right? Because again, I started the whole this shiur. We talked about the pasuk. It says, Mechabedai Achabed, which means whoever respects me, which means I will respect him. Which means what? If we follow his commandment, it's not just respecting him. It doesn't mean that a person comes to the shul, respect him, and then goes out of the shul, right, and do whatever he wants to do. Hakadosh Baruch Hu, we have a Maimon that says, Hakadosh Baruch Hu ro'eh klayot. He knows he knows every thought, in the most deep thought of every person, and knows what the person is thinking. So a person should be sincere to Hakadosh Baruch Hu and be sincerely dedicate himself to Hakadosh Baruch Hu and try to follow his command, whatever Hashem is giving, even for going, or whatever the laws they have. They have 7 Noachic commandments. They should be able to what? They should sit down and follow them, right? So, no. Shema Koman Hashem. דרך הגויים, אל תעמידו, ומות השמיים, אל תחתו, כי יחתו הגויים מהמה. עובדי כוכבים, יחתו בני ישראל, יחתו. So he says, whatever they're going, they're learning right from all those signs, like they believe in the astrology and all those things. He said, and they get afraid of those signs that are in the astrology. He said, don't be afraid of them, because those are meaningless. As the same concept that we have, like Abraham Avinu, when he was one of the biggest astrologists in the world, and he saw in the astrology that he would never ever have a child, and Hashem told him, get out of that concept. You're the Jews, when you believe in God, you're above the astrology, and get out of that concept. And Baruch Hashem had a son, and all of us are his sons. So here the same concept. He said, if you see all these things, and these are the signs, and these signs doesn't look good, and it says Cherev comes, there's going to be bloodshed, there's going to be famine, right? If a person really is dedicated to Hakadosh Baruch Hu and serve Hakadosh Baruch Hu, as we said, Chabed, right? Hashem is going to what? He's going to be what? He's going to protect that person, no matter what. But so the only thing is, we have to find out what really Hashem wants us to do and follow to the teeth. And we don't have to worry about no other country to help us out. Hashem by himself is capable of helping. The Chikari said, we saw in the time of Sancherib that all the huge army came against Yerushalayim, right? And Hashem took care of them, killed all of them without the Jews even taking a sword, going to fight with them. Now here, the interesting part is here. The interesting part is here. Why? Why are they getting it? Why these people are getting this thing, right? Why they going, getting this solar eclipse? What breaks the camel's back? Which means, what's the boiling point? Why Hashem is Rachum v'Chanun? We have 7 billion people or 8 billion people in the world, and Hakadosh Baruch Hu feed all of us without thinking about it. He wants his Rachum, his giver. So how come here he wants to bring Chas Shalom, either Cherev, bloodshed, or famine? Why? What's so bad? What's a bad thing the Goyim have done, right? That this thing is going to happen to them, right? So he says, Torah Rabbanim, listen to it. Here the Rabbanim is going to explain. Bishbil Arba Devanim Chamaluke. There are, because of 4 different concepts, right? This solar eclipse. One, Al-Ab Bedin Shemed Ve'eno Nisbat Ba'alacha. Right? So he said Kalacha. So he said Chas v'Shalom Bedin passed away, and no, you might ask what it has to do with the Goyim, but that's what we just said. If Jewish people do not eulogize for a Gadol Hador in a proper way, sufficiently, right? This happens to Goyim. So from here we see that we are somehow the Jewish people cause of what this whole concept of what solar eclipse, that they are going to take the beating, the Goyim, is because of us. Because we don't respect the Abed, which means that we have to our Elohim, right? We have to fear of God. Which one of the concepts of God is we have to have a fear of the Rabbanim Kedushim. We have to be afraid of them. We have to have awe. We have to be very extremely respectful towards them. And one of the parts of being respectful is when they pass away, we have to do proper eulogy for them, and we have to be in mourning. We have to tear clothing. We have to be so sad that he left. And if we don't do it in the proper way, right, this comes to Goyim, right? Because as we said in the beginning, the reason it's happening is because we Jews didn't do it completely, and that's why it brings out for us, what we do is like some kind of protection for the goyim. But if we don't do it for right, the goyim also get what? Unfortunately, they get their sins. They become exposed, and then Hashem goes and hit them hard. The second one is and نعرا همروسا شسعکا عرب بئیر به اموشیالا. And the second one is the betrothed woman, so a girl that is engaged, which is in the olden days when they were engaged, they were ish, and a man comes and tries to violate her, and she's screaming for help, and there are people hearing it and they don't want to save her. So here again, the case of what? Case of unfortunately the Jewish girl here we're talking about. Again, here what? Because we don't do it, this happens to go in, right? And the third one is Mishkav Zachar. This is the one. This is Mishkav Zachar. Is a big one because the other two, Baruch Hashem, the first one, Baruch Hashem, I see that when there are a lot of people carry Israel, they respect they have a proper eulogy for the Geonim Gedolim. You see it. We saw how when he passed away, there were almost 1 million people. They went to his Levaya. They were trying to go, 850,000 I think they went. The other ones could not go because traffic was too high. They couldn't just get there. But there was a proper Levaya for the Gedahador, so we see that he was there. The second case is very uncommon. Extremely uncommon that somebody sees a girl, hears a girl that is being married, engaged with a woman, and she is screaming and nobody's saving her. This one is very common. Mishkav Zachar. Mishkav Zachar is very common, and we say HaKadosh Baruch Hu is El Ghana. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has Ghanaut. What's a Ghanaut? He's very zealous. He's extremely zealous of what? For Arayot, and not only that, for Mishkav Zachar.
Same sexual.
Homosexual.
Homosexual.
They say homosexual. Hashem is very upset at this, and what he basically he killed Ghana, and the pasuk says somebody does right. Pasuk says that this is something extraordinary. He says, I created the homosexuals, what they are trying to do, they are trying to deny the purpose of creation, which is what? Getting married and having children. That's what the homosexuals are trying to deny with the first commandment, and they're trying to deny his existence in the Chata Shalom in the world by acting like this. And they say, I know from in America, we know that when this President Obama came and passed this law for that homosexuality it is okay to do it. They accepted it as a part of lifestyle in America, right? Which contradicts what concept it says in the currency, the back of currency. It says, in God we trust, right? After that, I realized that when COVID-19 came, this President Trump came to save the country. He couldn't do it because of the fact that this came in the way, and the whole thing that we see in this country is going down is because of this homosexuality. That's what we see it. And why is so bad? Why is so bad? And then also, there was, Kalbe Rebbe. I don't know if you heard of him. He was very Chashuv Rav, Bar HaKodesh. We had this earthquake many years ago in Los Angeles, right? 1980 something. And he came to Or Moshe. And he came and he proved that. He says the pasuk says, Hamabit la'ares v'tir'ad yagia b'honim yeshanu. So it says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu look at the land, and the land shakes. And he says, what does this pasuk mean? He says because of homosexuals, homosexual activity, and he said that in the next when I was present, and the Rasha that day that he came, the Or Moshe was packed.
Wow.
And there was no place to sit. And he came and he says, in the Mexico City, it also happened some similar thing, and it says same concept here. It says in Mexico there also was homosexual. It says it also was because of homosexual activities. It says the earthquake came, brought down many Jewish buildings. They went down, but it says interesting enough, the Jewish buildings were intact next to them. The Jewish buildings, the buildings that belonged to the Goyim, they went down. The building for the Jews did not
Collapse.
collapse. They were intact. So the same concept here. The same concept is what why because HaKadosh Baruch Hu, as we says here, you see that here it says, if you are God feeling, you have a fear of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? This eclipse or this earthquake or whatever is not going to touch you. It's not going to happen. Why? Because as he says, I said it from the other pasuk, but he also this pasuk Gemara brought down that he said, "What? Do not be afraid of what they're going afraid of." Right?
Right.
And then it brings the fourth case is what Shnei Achim Shishbach Daman. And two brothers that are what they kill them in one day. Barmina. So the case that is more among these four cases, right? One is the eulogy for the Talmud Gil Hador. One is saving a girl, my betrothed woman girl from hand of a violator that she is screaming, and the Mishkav Zachar. And the fourth one is the case of two brothers get killed in one day. The one that is very common out of these four is the Mishkav Zachar. And you see that's why we see the whole problem over here, and the only way we can protect ourselves from this solar eclipse, because if we don't, it can also hurt us, is what, as we mentioned before, that the person has to have a Yad Shamayim, has to have a Yad Shamayim, and this Yad Shamayim is gonna help him to what, to be careful about siniyut, women making sure that they are protecting the whole family by being akeret habayit. They take care of the house and make sure that they are dressed properly, the daughters are dressed properly, the sons are going to yeshiva. There's a fear of God, and those houses are going to be protected, as we saw in time of the Yisrael Mitzrayim and Makat Bechorot, right? Whoever that had like blood on the mezuzah, they were basically they were saved from the Makat Bechorot. Same thing is Bechorim. Same thing is what same concept of the women being senua. The same concept, and because of that, they said b'gdal nashim satkaniot. We are going to go out so it's very important for us to educate our sisters, our mothers, our daughters, right? Other girls, whoever it is, that they should have this in mind, that when they get married or when when they are married, they should know that the whole purpose of them, they are play a very important role of the Jewish people. And Chachamim say, one concept that we should know, Chachamim say, Benot Israel lo hefker, which means they should be very careful, the Jewish girls, they should never give in to their sexual desire and have some kind of intimacy with another Jewish guy, despite the fact that not doing it if they're not married. If they're not married, why? Because they are not hefker. And if something is in ketubah of the most of the girls, I don't know if they pay attention. They never say in the ketubah of the Jewish girl. It always mentions they are betula, they are virgin. It always says that the Jewish girl is the virgin, and very uncommon. You see somebody that gets married first time, they don't use the word she's not virgin. Why? Because the Chazal says, B'not Yisrael b'cheskat b'Torah. A Jewish girl has a cheskat b'Torah, which means a Jewish girl would not go or subjugate her sexual desire to go and sleep with another guys, right? Until when? Until she goes on the chuppah. That's why, if you notice, for every girl, no matter what age it is, when they get married the first time, the ketubah, it says, and the term is used, is betula, unless she goes and tell them that she was married or whatever. So the Lord Israel, they have cheskat betula, so they have to be very careful. The girls, that they should be very watch themselves, making sure that they get married soon. And also, we know there's a responsibility of father is to marry off the daughter, because the father knows that the daughter, if doesn't get married right away, chas v'shalom, she might get his daughter might have some temptation, and there are women and there are girls and have desires, so they should try, the parents, especially the father, should attempt looking for shidduch for the daughter as soon as possible, when they get 16, 17, 18, to marry them off, so they would be able to see a lot of nachat from their daughter. So this is very important. So, and they get them, so they should know whether the parents are not doing, they should do some kind of hishtadlut to get married, so they will be able to have family, and they should not worry about all these sexual temptations that are on us in this part of country, especially on this country. Okay. Now, so this is the whole concept of solar eclipse. That's why, and then that's why Hakadosh Baruch Hu comes, and so this is why, and the question again, why Hashem so upset about the Mishkav Zachar? Why? What's this so big? Because it contradicts the purpose of creation. The first commandment that we have in the Torah, the very first one, it says, "Pruvu." A person should get married and have children. And these people, they are trying to come to say, no, that's not the purpose of creation, and they try to legitimize this in part of the country, and they did it. And we see that the country is in the turmoil financially, and there's a lot of things. Why? Because of this. Even though on the currency it says, "In God we trust," right? Unfortunately, they are not. They are contradicting by allowing these homosexuals. They come and they legitimize this cardinal sin. I consider it like a cardinal sin, or because even though it's not those three sins that the person should get killed, right? I don't know. I think it might be, but a person should be very, 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 very afraid of about this thing, right? Now, the last part of it, I'm just gonna say, is there's one last part to this, is about lunar eclipse. It's for the Jewish people. So here we're gonna read it. It's a short one, but it's good to know about the Varim Orot Lukim, right? So he said there are for four different reasons we get solar because lunar eclipse. Okay, so he says al kote plaster al midei edut shekel. So he says somebody comes and write false information on the document, and then on the false testimony.
Gives false testimony.
False testimony, right? So it says somebody raises behemot daka, which is considered like a sheep or goat in the land of Israel, because they go and the reason it says is asur is problematic, because they go and those animals, they go, Rashi says, they go to different places, right? And pasture, they don't pasture on their own land. They go to other places, and sometimes they're stealing, they're ruining other person's property, and that's a problem. Well, because you're allowed to vote, and somebody has cuts down the fruit trees. Fruit trees is a problem, right? And that's it. So these are the four cases. So if Chas v'Shalom, the person sees these 4 cases, which doesn't sound like a very innocent thing, right? But these are again these are Petzah Baruch Hu, Chatimato Shel Hakadosh Baruch Hu Emet. The Chatima of Shel Hakadosh Baruch Hu is Emet, so that person should be very careful. That's why it says the first 2 is regarding that. The third one is about. The first 2 is about lying, right? This is the Hakadosh Baruch Hu being lunar, right? One is writing false documents. One is false testimony. The third one is a person going to raise the behemoth daka, right? Which is also is part of stealing, right? And the fourth one is cutting the fruit tree, which means not appreciating Hakadosh Baruch Hu bracha. The fourth is not appreciation. So this is from here is like for Jewish people, if they have a lunar, is either lying or false testimony, right? Then the second one is stealing, and the third one, which is I think is like a kavua. I don't know. It's not just one-time person do it, but kavua, like everybody is doing it. Many people are doing it. And the fourth one is not appreciating Hakadosh Baruch Hu bountiness by cutting down the fruit tree. That's why they say it's very important
not to cut.
not cut fruit tree. And I know I remember in Chicago there was one.
Trimming is okay. Cutting down is.
Yeah, I
In
remember.
Chicago, yeah.
Yeah, in Chicago there was a college. I used to know with some college people. With one Avrech, and I remember it was from I think it was Thursday Shiva, and he said he had a house, and his house had a tree, and the tree was going, it was a fruit tree, and it was going over to the neighbor's land, and they wanted to cut it down, and he said, I don't want to do it. And he was extremely apprehensive about the whole cutting, even though it was, I think according to Allah, there's a way to go around it, to sell it to the goy, and then to get around this issue. But I remember at that time he had a very big apprehension because cutting down a tree, even though he knew that it's damaging other property, he was concerned about because it says that Chas v'Shalom, somebody cuts a tree, Chas v'Shalom, for his children is not good. So that's another part. So, but so he doesn't talk about this way. So from here, we are hoping that we do a lot of other things right, and we follow other Jewish laws, and by that, by the Harav Orbach, the Sar, Orbach, the Sar, one of the statements he made, he says that if you see trouble among Jewish people, the first thing, or most of the problem that you will see is a sinut, Choser sinut. And I just going to end this with one story just read this morning before I came. It's about the Chazanish, right? They say in older days everybody was very very dark socks, stockings and socks, and the fashion from Italy, from Europe, France, they came like all these different brought different concept of the clothing to the among the Jewish people also, and the question was about see-through socks for girls. So they went and asked Chazanish. Chazanish put it on his hand. Put one of the socks of the girl's sock on his hand, and he said, "See, it looks. This is not a gezerah that we say you should wear black or dark stocking, right? It's a halacha. It's a halacha of siniyut is what a person wears the girls wear those stockings, and they see through, right? There's a problem with what? It's as if it's their own body and it's problematic, and may all the people of Israel continue being sinut and by that protect the Klal Yisrael. Amen.
Amen.